the medium length hush cut. So it's perfect if you're growing your hair out or if you just want an effortless look. Let's go. Let's start by separating the top from the bottom. Create a horseshoe-shaped section on top by connecting the right and left recession points with a curved parting. You'll see where the hairline begins to recede, or place the comb flat on the head, and where it lifts off is where the head is rounding. So that'll show you where to separate the top from the bottom. Your line should be pretty horizontal all the way around. Clip the top section up and out of the way. Now move to the back and split the back down the middle. Then take a horizontal parting across to separate the nape from the back. Comb it towards the front and just clip it out of the way. So a horizontal parting, separate the nape from the back. And clip out of the way. Start by setting your length. Since we're going for a medium length haircut, we'll take the length just below the neck. The angle you cut with your scissor is going to determine how textured the ends look. So I try to go for very intentional peaks and valleys so it really looks piecey. Now release the back and sides and connect them to the length that you just cut. Now let's layer the back. Start by taking a 1-inch vertical subsection down the center. Elevate that hair to 90 degrees. When the length drops out, that's your cue to start cutting. Cut a slightly diagonal line that gets longer to the top. And just continue layering with a traveling guide so you can create even layers from side to side. Now let's move on to the sides, and this is where we have to be a little more careful. So we're going to take our next 1-inch vertical subsection. Elevate the section higher than 90 degrees, find the shortest guide on top, and then just connect it down to the length. This extra elevation is going to preserve the weight at the bottom, and it's going to help us keep the shape balanced through the sides. All you have to do is follow the guideline you cut and work your way to the front. So this extra elevation is just a really easy trick to keep all that length by the ear so that you don't cut any holes there. So now when you look from the side view, we still have that layering working our way throughout the entire section, but we were able to preserve that length at the bottom. So understanding the head shape in addition to all the other things like your elevation and your cutting line and all that blah, 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 it's just gonna make your results a lot more predictable, so you'll be more confident when you cut. Now, if you've created balance, you should be able to pull these two front corner pieces and they should be about the same length. Now, if you want, you can just soften out the corner by pulling that hair forward and just connecting the length to that shortest guide. This is going to softly round the corners so you get a little bit of face framing, but it won't affect all the layering and shape we did on the sides. So just comb that hair forward, find the shortest guide, and then just connect the corner. Just make sure to keep all of your length. See how that kind of curves in nicely now? So release the top section and then separate the crown and the top by taking a vertical parting from the highest point of the head down to the ear. In the crown, take a vertical subsection in the center. Elevate the section up and cut a diagonal line. So essentially we're cutting round layers on the crown, and this will just give a nice soft shape to round off the layers on top. And then take another vertical section that radiates from the highest point of the head. So they're almost like beach ball shaped sections or pie slices, if you will. And this will help ensure that you cut nice even layers on the top. I would suggest point cutting in this section because again, you want to keep it as soft as possible. So try to prevent putting in any blunt lines in this area because you're going to want to texturize them out at the end anyway. But look how nicely that combs into shape now. I'll also put a link in description on where to get this practice head. This is a pivot point Sophia, so really good for hair cutting and also for color because she comes blonde. But that looks really good. Look how soft that layering in the back is laying. So you built a little bit of that graduation in the back and then closed it off with round layering on the top. Okay, now let's layer the top. So start by taking a vertical subsection down the center to create a guide. Use some sectioning clips to keep the rest of the hair out of the way. Use some hair from the crown as your guide. Elevate the section up to 180 degrees and cut a horizontal line from back to front. Take your next subsection and cut. Now something to keep in mind is this hair is going to be longer than the layers on the sides, and that's okay. The sides are slightly undercut. You don't have to worry about blending them together or you'll create layers that are too chunky in the sides. So really once you have your guideline, it's pretty much as easy as just following along with that. Try not to overthink it, just cut it. Now let's cut the curtain bangs. So start by taking diagonal subsections in the front to create your guide. The shortest layer can be around the nose, and then the longest layer you want to be closer to the cheeks. And then all you gotta do is blend that to the other side. Now comb that guide to the center and just check that the arc shape you created is balanced. So you're almost looking for like this A shape. It's kind of like an arc, A for arc. And once you're happy with that, you can move on. Take another section behind the first subsection. Now that you have that guide underneath, I would suggest point cutting because that's going to keep it much softer looking. So just make sure you can see your guide and then point cut. So looking for the guide and then just point cutting to keep it soft. Now we'll just make sure that the side corners blend in with the bangs. So take diagonal sections, pull that hair forward, and then notice there might be a little bit of hair that's disconnected between the bangs and the length. So you can pull that section forward and all you've got to do is point cut and connect. See that nice curve going all the way down to the length, and you've maintained all of that fullness on the sides as well. So remember, diagonal section, comb the hair forward, look for any long hair that's disconnected, and then only cut the long hair. You want to see that everything is combing into place nicely when the hair is wet, and that's going to tell you that it's going to look good when it's dry as well. And that's it for the wet cut. So I'm gonna blow dry her smooth, and then we'll show you some texturizing techniques to get a PC anime finish.
It's gnarly. Hotty, hotty, like a bag of Takis on the gym.
So now it's time to texturize, and we're gonna start in the back. Use a deep point cutting technique to really soften out any of the blunt lines. So really visualize those separations between the strands, and then make those cuts. Notice how it really softens out the look of the ends. This is going to add that element of airiness that makes it a lot easier to style as well. So now you can really see the difference between the bluntness that we started with to the pieciness now that we have through the ends. And remember, the more visual you get with the spikes, the better it's going to look, honestly. So think about really creating an intentional triangle between the ends, and that's going to separate and create that spiky finish. Then when it combs all together, you'll notice how easy it is to separate. So see how nice that texture is now? Just by separating the ends. We didn't really do any shredding into the hair, but just separating the ends creates this cool pieciness, and that's with no extra product. So insert your shear diagonally and really create spiky ends. It's really visual, this cutting. So look, as it combs down, all those visual spikes we created. And do that with all the hair by the face. You want every single piece of hair by the face to feel soft and airy. If you want to create extra texture, you can also just insert the shear and cut small channels of hair away. Watch. You can just pull those out and look at the texture you created while still preserving that length. So I like to do this whenever you're creating more of a piecey look to the hair, because you can keep the length of the strands, but you can take away the density inside. See? So you can really see how much softer it is around the face. Thanks for following along. That's the medium length hush cut. If you like this haircut but want a longer version, I've got a hush cut tutorial for long hair that you can check out on my page. And also, if you like wolf cuts, butterfly cuts, and short cuts, make sure to subscribe because I've got all the haircut tutorials for you. I'll see you in the next video.